All right, I want to say gracious afternoon to all those who are watching me across the state in Nigeria. And I must say gracious because we all live with grace. Let me use this opportunity to quickly say my condolences to my cousins, the demise of my cousin Kazim Atanda-Owo. It's unfortunate that he had to, pass on, and I just wish him, for him to rest in God's peace. All right. Staying true to the issue at hand, they say telecommunication is a lifeline of businesses, and it also serves as the binder between people and their community, or would I say society. If communication will be coming at a cost higher than usual, the stakeholders include the people, and businesses should be a part of that dialogue. I'm sorry for the loss of my cousin. On this note, I think it's important for us to hear what On This Day in History segment has for us. When I return, I give my 2 cents on it. Stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. My takeaway from On This Day in History segment today is just when Nigerians had a say and we had our full pride, to stand against any nation for the sake of Africa. And these days, the West and Europe have always decided that, or would I say have divided, leaders, and their selfish interests have made leaders not to fully stand in alliance with their neighbors, especially these days when we are quick to either borrow money from them or wait for debt pardon. May God help us in this country. I think that's my takeaway from On This Day in this segment today. I think it's important for us to go on a quick break to get a word from my sponsors. And when I return, we'll dive straight to the topic at hand. Please stay with me. I'll be right back. This is Real Talk with Kike. All right, many thanks for staying with me. In light of the Nigerian Communications Commission, that's the NCC, who recently approved or approval of a 50% increase in telecoms tariffs, there has been reactions from users and many stakeholders in the telecom sector. This is just as the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, described the tariff that will begin next month as outrageous, lamenting that it will worsen the harsh living conditions of workers and Nigerians. Similarly, the coalition of Northern Group, CNG, rejected the hike, which it said was ill-timed and did not consider the plight of suffering Nigerians, even as the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, that's HURIWA, described the hike as an illegal, unconstitutional, and oppressive policy, and that undermines Nigerians' fundamental rights and freedom. On the live show today, I have the NLC president, who I will be engaging to shed light on how the tariff increase affects Nigerians as a whole, especially workers, small businesses, or will I say small business owners, and of course low-income earners who really, who will I say rely heavily on affordable telecommunications. And of course, the discussion will also examine the broader economic consequences, such as how it affects inflation and Nigeria's digital economy as well. So I will make sure that I also touch light or discuss the rationale provided by the NCC and telecom operators for the hike, exploring whether these, justifications hold waters in the context of Nigerians' economic challenge. I think those are all I will be touching on right now. And of course, you will agree with me after what I've played the profile of my guest that is the right person, to throw more light on the issue at hand. Of course, he has always been the one standing for humanity at large. Let's get to play his profile. When I return, we will be speaking with him. Please stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. Let me use this opportunity to quickly usher in my guest, Comrade Joe Ajero. Many thanks for creating time to be here today. It's a pleasure to have you again. Thank you so much, despite your busy schedule, lending your voice on issues that affect us all. Thank you so much. How are you doing today, sir?
Thank you very much. We're fine.
Yeah, we're pushing.
No
all right. Yeah. Well, I don't know whether there's no problem because there are challenges. Maybe the word is not problem, but let me dive straight to the issue at now. Some things are not right in Nigeria. Hence the reason why I would say that okay, maybe there are challenges. You stand for the masses, like I said earlier, and the civil servants and the public in general, so to speak, when it comes to humanity. Did Nigerian Economic Commissions consult with the NLC before this tariff hike by the telcos that is, triggering economic disruption at the moment? If they did, what are the bargains and the dialogue that you can say or ensued to protect the interests of our 130 million, telco users? What's your take on this?
Well, there was no consultation, and the culture of consultation seemed to have died down for a very long time. Not just the telecom sector, even the electricity sector, all the tariff increases, even the issue of tax review, that the workers are the main people that pay tax. Pay as you earn, their taxes are deducted at source. And they equally pay all forms of indirect tax. Nobody consults us. And there is this issue of stakeholders too in all these organizations that have to pay the tariff, that pay tariff, and then regulatory agencies. They have adopted the policy of take it or leave it, and that is what is happening now. It's sad that it's in a democracy where whatever these organizations are supposed to do are supposed to be based on consensus. It's not even an issue of whether majority or minority. It's based on consensus. But the NCC never thought it wise to consult. The same thing with the NEC. They don't consult anybody. They do whatever they like. And then that's where you have this disquiet. You feel that without this tariff, you will not be able to do business. And then you impose it on somebody who cannot pay. Then that creates a kind of stalemate. And all these things could have been better managed, but they were not.
Managed, and of course they are not. I know you stand for the NLC. I commend your office for taking the action and issuing a strike warning. You know, all the same, Nigerians are curious. How did the telcos, you know, arrive at even 50% hike in tariffs? Because with pricing mechanism or pricing analysis that took place that led to this, and the reason why I'm bringing this to fall, you know, is the fact that based on your submission earlier saying that they don't consult anymore, everybody just seems to do whatever they want to do, so to speak. Nigerians are on the receiving end at every major decision in the economy, from fuel subsidy removal to hike in energy and power rates, you know, to rise in transportation costs, to inflation in the market commodities and expensive food costs as well. Do you think, sir, that the timing of this is right? And why should Nigeria be battling with telco hikes again?
Well, apart from the timing, if you look at the level of inflation in the country and the economy we are passing through, and vis-a-vis the minimum wage that was just introduced for the workforce, and the fact that the minimum wage has equally not been implemented in most states of the Federation. And then while that was happening, they were taking it back to all these tariff increases. You can see that both it's not sustainable and the timing is equally wrong. This is not the time. You know, and if you ask them, they will tell you the inflationary rate. So we're talking about how many percent. And then when you want to increase, you increase 100%, you increase 50% and above. And in some businesses like telecom and whatever, I think what matters is let's take the number of hours that somebody calls. Not if somebody calls for only 1 minute, then you charge him 100. But there are some people, and that's why in some countries, they give them relief. They can give them weekend free calls. They can give them, if you call for this number of minutes, then they charge you at this rate. All these things are discussed, but not this big bang of 50% increase. At a time, everybody seemed to be connecting, you know, to the telecom companies. And this is so discouraging. And most businesses are transacted on this. Banks, people who are going to work, people who are working remotely, who couldn't make it to the office. All these are areas they are making money. You know, they are making a lot of money through data, and then they keep on complaining. So it's a problem, you know, that is choking us. And if it continues to choke us, no one doesn't know what to do again. Now, if we drive it further, you know, you protest over PMS increase. They say they don't care. You protest over electricity tariff increase. They say they don't care. You know, now it is telecom. They will equally not care. Now that tells you something. You know, it tells you something that we must all be conscious of. We don't care how the international community, how the civil community look at us, and we keep on lamenting. And some people will say, "Oh, Labour, after protesting, what did you do?" You know, as if, you know, we have not done what we are supposed to do, and it's left for you to judge, to see that this is bad, this is ill, this is not sustainable. And then what do we do about it? Governance is not all about take it or leave it, or we are strong. It's not about, you know, strong leaders are not the people that come to say we are strong. They are not people who don't listen to their followers.
Many thanks for that insight right there. I have two questions for you, listening to you, and I'm coming from the angle of customer satisfaction. I'm coming from customer protection. I'm coming from even the SLA, the contract that is being signed now, listening to you. I detest, you know, comparing our country with others, but when we aspire to develop like the developed nations, we have the customers sign phones and SIM cards contracts in developed countries for certain charges and certain time frames in which no party, either the telco or the customer, can be treated unfairly. If the customer is satisfied, he signs the contract with the network provider. Why is it that in Nigeria that we can just wake up one morning and decide to say that, you know, calls have not become X naira or per second at will? Is the first question I'm asking you. And the second question, based on all that you've shared thus far, sir, is the fact that as the leader of the NLC. What is the union stance on the tariffs hike? And any measures being considered to engage the government in terms of the telecoms operators and regulatory agencies? How can labor unions, and civil society organizations collaborate to push for policies that protect public interest while supporting industry sustainability? I think that's my 2 questions before we go on the break.
Well, let me take this, and if it's possible to join them together. The issue of the civil society groups and labor unions, the first thing to do is what we have done now. We have come out strongly to say this policy is not going to work. It's choking. And we have rejected it. Now, the issue of building an alliance and coalition on what to do jointly is very, very essential, especially given the fact that there was no consultation around it. That is very, very key. The first thing to do is not just to say, oh, we are going on strike. No, the first thing is to see whether the people, the authority, was reason normally to say, oh, what is it that is happening, so that we can look at it to the interest of the populace. And now on the issue of customer satisfaction, here there seems not to be much attention on customer satisfaction. If you look at the issue of tariff increases, let me take even that of the power sector. They are talking of cost-reflective tariff. They are not talking of service-reflective tariff. Now, if you start a call now, or you call for how many minutes, and they say network, you can do it for how long? There's no punishment, on the provider. You can start a call now, very important call, it goes off. You can make a call and they say the number you are calling is switched off, and that is maybe your second number you are calling there. There's no punishment, nothing. Now it is only the burden is on, and even they will charge you for that call that just initiated and it calls off. Now all these things must be discussed. We must bring all these things to the table and not forcing it on us, whether you like it or not. You must take it every time, every moment. The customers are not protected in this country. The customers are at the receiving end. And that's why you have this corporate greed that they come and then impose whatever they like. Now, take it further. There's a regulatory hijack in this whole process. The NAC in the electricity sector, some operators, they have taken over. If they tell them increase by 10 naira, they increase by 10 naira. The same thing in the NCC. If they say, oh, increase by this, some of these telecom companies are stronger than the regulatory companies. And they determine who the regulators being appointed. And when this happens, the customers, the consumers are the receiving end. That is what we are witnessing in this country. And only God knows, where this will lead us to. So you see the issue of, the corporations, they laugh to the banks, they smile to the banks, while we all suffer in silence.
We are really suffering in silence, I must emphasize. But we'll go on a quick break now to get a word from my sponsors. When I return, the conversation will continue. Please stay with us. This is Real Talk with Kike. I'll be right back. All right, glad to know you're still right there with us. In case you just joined the show, the show or today's conversation is about one of the most pressing issues facing Nigerians today, the 50% telecoms tariff hike. Earlier, we heard from the telcos defending this increase as critical to the sustainability of the industry and, of course, essential for delivering better services. But what does that mean for the average Nigerian, especially with the rising cost of living? With me shedding light on this is Joe Ajero, the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, and he has been throwing light on the issue at hand. I want to say many thanks, Comrade Joe Ajero, for all that you've shared thus far. But let me use this opportunity to quickly open the phone lines. Remember that you can be part of this conversation by calling the studio number 070-6865-3440. Again, 070-6865-3440. It's a new number that we just got. Apologies for the other previous numbers that have not been working. And of course, we're streaming live from Facebook, on Real Talk with Kike, and on Silverbird platform on Facebook. Many thanks, many thanks. Of course, you can also catch up on our YouTube page by following all the content thus far and get yourself enlightened. So, sir, again, I want to say thank you so much for creating time on our lunch show today to lend your voice on issues that affect us all. But with all that you've shared thus far, I want to bring a balance from the telcos that argue that this tariff hike is essential for sustaining the industry and avoiding service cuts. In light of their claims, do you believe, sir, that the telco industry can remain viable without such adjustment? If not, what alternative measure would you even suggest for the telcos?
Well, I think they should not give us the half-truth. There used to be a time we didn't have up to 100,000 subscribers in the country. And they were not telling us that they were not making profits. Now, today, we have over 10 million subscribers. Let me just be conservative. Almost 100 million subscribers. There's hardly anybody, or some people have 2-3 lines, even 4, that we have in the country. Now, is it all about the unit, per minute call, or the number of subscribers that we have already that have brought about a robust market that are calling on daily basis that will give us more money? Or is it the one I will call? If you charge me 100 naira per minute and I make a call once a week, and you are charging me 50 naira per minute and I make a call, every hour, where will you make more money? I think we should be more sensitive to this, because they were able to whet our appetite. And then all of us are so glued to our phone, and they saw this, that it is kind of, we can't be taken away from our phone. If you watch some people, when they lose their phone, you think that they lost a human being, So because of that, they now feel that they will continue, to tax us. That is not what gives them money more.
Unfortunately, I think the network is a bit erratic. Are you there now, sir? Can you hear me? All right, let's go on a quick break so that we can reestablish connection with my guests. When I return, the conversation will continue. This is Real Talk with Kike. All right, many thanks for staying with me. This is Real Talk with Kike, and of course, I've been discussing with Comrade Joe Ajero, who have been throwing a lot of light on the issue at hand from the NCC that recently approved 50% increase in tariff hike. And I must say many thanks, sir, for all that you've shared thus far. But, sir, considering the rising cost of operations, including foreign exchange challenges and inflation, are the telcos justified, in passing some of these costs onto consumers? They also bear burden of logistics, let's be fair, service costs, power tariffs, diesel, petrol, fuel costs to run their stations, so to speak. How should stakeholders, balance these economic realities with the need for affordable services? I think is what I feel that we need to balance in our communication.
Well, if you look at it very well, you discover that some of them have reached a kind of saturated market, in terms of the number of subscribers. And like I was saying before, there was a time we didn't have even up to 200,000 or 100,000 subscribers. But recently, you have almost 100 million subscribers, one of the most robust and large markets you can think of anywhere in the world. And then what matters is, what's the volume of call? Because you see that even most calls these days are congested. They are not even talking of their lines. They are not talking of facilities. There are villages that some people will travel a kilometer to go and make call where it will be connected. the network is not getting to such areas. Nobody is talking of that. And that was why I said, they're talking of cost reflective tariffs, without paying much attention to service reflective tariffs. Now, the tariff you are giving to me, is it commensurate to services that I'm receiving? And even if when I'm making calls now, it cuts off, something disrupts it, they will still charge you. So I think that customers in this country and consumers are not adequately protected. And this is very, very important. This is very vital in all that we do. If we don't go into this issue of customer protection, we continue to see this corporate greed. You see where they will just wake up and they announce that this is the cost, you have to pay it, whether you like it or not. Now, if you look at what you have mentioned, diesel, cost of living, inflation, whatever, is it the person that you are imposing this tariff on that is not passing through this? Who is that Nigerian that is not paying for high cost of energy? Who is that person that is not paying for transportation, PMS, electricity tariff at a high? So is it the person that you're imposing it on? Now, the increase in telecom tariff today will equally amount to further inflation. Let me tell you one of the things that happened in the power sector. Now, inflation is one of the reasons for the increase in tariff in electricity sector. Now, but each time you increase the tariff, it creates inflation. And then the people that increase that tariff that created inflation will still go back to ask for increase, whereas they are the people that originated the inflation. Clearly, if you check all these things and what are the causes of inflation, by the time you impose this 50% tariff increase now, it will lead to further inflation. And the same people will still give it as a justification for further increase. And we continue to go round and round and round. I don't know where this will end. And I'm saying that it's getting to our neck. And for the worker, who is earning just, 70,000 naira is not enough. And we can no longer bear this.
I quite agree with you regarding, we going through the same things that they are going through, hence the reason why they must not push, the figure to us and all of that. And talking about the services that we are receiving as well, I think this further leads to my next question regarding the telcos that have also promised that, the tariff increase will lead to improved service delivery. What mechanism now, sir, should be put in place to ensure that they deliver on this promise? I don't know if the word is even promise, or for them to deliver on their services, because how can the labor union and the consumer advocacy groups monitor this improvement or this improvement? Because Nigeria's telecom tariffs are reportedly among the lowest globally, so to speak, even after the increase. In your own opinion, sir, does this low pricing model negativity impact the industry ability to deliver high quality services?
Well, I think let's clear the issue of being the lowest. The Nigerian naira is one of the lowest in the country compared with any other currency. And then if you look at it from that point of view, you see the damage done to our economy by the devaluation. So that's what you are looking at. If you are talking of the value of 2 naira per dollar, it will still remain low. And what is the purchasing power of that person that is paying 2 naira compared to the dollar or the standard of it is now saying that should be abortion before pregnancy? It doesn't go that way. Why will you say when we now pay, you improve facilities? For goodness sake, they have been in operation for over 20 years. And then that one should have been, or if your services improve, well, we'll be ready to pay. And not the other way around. If you pay me and I improve services, and I have been paying you, you are not improving services. What is the certainty that if I pay you, if that's the only business I'm going to do is to pay you are going to improve services? It doesn't follow. I think that's the essence of having conversation around all these issues, especially issues bordering on tariff. Not a question of, oh, we have done it, don't worry, we are going to do this. You don't give us that such blanket promises. that has never been fulfilled before and will never be fulfilled. So there's no issue of the labor unions or the CSOs monitoring them to improve services or what. Is it the CSOs or labor unions that they consult? And some of these people with their corporate greed have found collaboration in some operators in our polity that they don't even allow unionization. You find the battle of your life for you to get any of the telecom companies in Nigeria to unionize. So from where do you operate? And the laws of this country and the people that operate those laws encourage them to exploit Nigerians, to extort us on a daily basis. So what the hell are they talking about? So why didn't they consult the stakeholders they are making these promises to?
I agree with you, sir. But, this will be my last question to you, just to wrap up on our thoughts, because the NLC are being attacked with accusation, fairness in some quarters, and on circles of discussion with regards to pricing regulations in the country. Nobody regulates market prices of commodities and service providers. I want to give you an example, sir. The transport sector, who regulates Uber fares? Uber from island to mainland sometimes charges 30K upwards. My cousins came around over the festive period in December, and I sent them to the mainland taking Uber. They pay 48,000 naira, sir. Who regulates the taxis and the downfall drivers? What protection are in place to guarantee that consumers and service users' interests are truly protected? I think that I should bring that to fore to end this conversation.
Yeah, it's a nice point, but that shows you the problem we are facing, that we are the receiving end. Now, it is not the duty of CSOs or labor unions to come up with regulatory agencies. Those, it is their duty to do that. That it is the duty of the state as a regulator. In most cases, they play a dual role as regulators and operators. Now, if the state is playing active role, for instance, if you are in Lagos and then there is this BRT, you see that the price is there. You have a ticket that from Ojuelegua to Ekweredu is this amount. The price is regulated to that extent because they are operators in that area. Now, it is equally the duty of the states, by this time, whether federal or whatever, to say the free kilometer, 1 kilometer, is this amount. It's not like if you get to airport taxi now. When you allow people, to be regulators themselves, then you have to face it. Every airport you enter in this country, they will show you a bill from here to the next bus stop, 20,000. And I have challenged severally. Who made this? They on their own will sit down and do it. And the government or the people that are in charge are leaving us to our fate. Is it not proper, like you suggested, that every 10 kilometers should be 1 naira? Even where you work in some establishments, if you are traveling, they work per kilometer allowances. 1 kilometer is this. But when you now enter into Uber, their own 1 kilometer is higher than your own. So what is happening? Whose duty is this? Is it not part of the failure of governance that we must all talk about, we must all discuss? Meanwhile, nobody wants a negotiation. Nobody wants a discussion. It is take it or leave it. And that's the problem we are facing. And we'll continue to face it because of the docility of the Nigerian masses. I don't care. Oh, Labour, if you protest finish, you go. Oh, the one you protested before, have you been able to hold the hand of government? Or is it when you protest one day now, they settle you and whatever? Who is this that is settling you? And you that they are not settling, what have you done?
Absolutely. I like that thought process. You that they are not settling, what have you done? Again, I want to say many thanks, sir, for lending your voice on issues that affect us. And we hope that, the services that they promise to give us, even with the increase in tariff, I hope that we actually enjoy it, because going through what we are going through right now, even with the show, we've seen how the network is a bit erratic with technology, and so I'm hoping that things will get better as we move forward. But before I let you go, sir, there's a last segment of the show that I call trending stories. These are stories that bind us as Nigerians, and the first trending story that caught my attention in the last 24 hours is that of the Ekweremadu's wife that was released from UK prison that returns to Nigeria. This is where I have an opinion as a host. And sir, before I come to you, let me quickly put out my thoughts process there, because I feel the case of Mrs. Beatrice Ekweremadu's return to Nigerians after serving almost 3 years of her 6-year sentence brings mixed emotions. But it is important to approach this issue with balance and understanding. First off, this situation highlights the desperation any parents, including me, could feel when trying to save, one's child in medical distress. The Ekweremadu's action through unlawful stem from a desire to find a solution for their daughter, Sonia, who was also battling a life-threatening condition. While their intention may have been rooted in love, their methods, built on deceit and exploitation, violated human rights and the laws of the United Kingdom, not in Nigeria, where the offense occurred. So the outcome of this case serves as a stark reminder, if you ask me, that laws take their courses regardless of what status or nationality when violation occurs within the jurisdiction of another country. So the UK judicial system acted in line with its legal, principles, disregarding appeals for, repatriation from Nigeria. This underscores the need for Nigerians and other citizens to respect the laws of any country they operate in, regardless of personal intention or circumstances. Equally, it's important for me to also put this out there, that the lessons that I believe that we should be taking away from this is also non-negotiable in terms of exploitation, in terms of dishonesty and cutting corners, not only the exploited party but also bring severe consequences as seen in this case. So transparency and unlawful procedures are critical in addressing even the most desperate situation at hand. I always tell people, may God not test us. So as Mrs. Ekweremadu returns home, I want to use this medium, to extend my good wishes to her as she reintegrates into her family life after almost 3 years away from her family. Her focus, I believe, will now be, on rebuilding her life and supporting her children, including the Sonia, who is still battling health challenges. So it is a chance for her to actually move forward and focus on her personal growth, especially when it comes to accountability and healing now. So I just want to use this medium again to urge Nigerians, particularly bloggers and media outlets. Let me come after my colleagues, so to speak, to refrain from using a story as a tool for unnecessary sensationalism. Let's focus on extracting the lessons here about the legal compliance, ethical decision making, the importance of human dignity, rather than amplifying their struggles for entertainment value. Sometimes when I see things like that, I don't know. I just, if I'm to be a star in this country, I'm going to be seeing quite a number of people. But finally, on a lighter note, this case, is a wake-up call for society to address the systematic issues that often push individuals into such, desperate measures. Organ trafficking and exploitation thrive in a world where access to health care and organ donation system are inequitable. So governments and stakeholders, must do more to ensure a better access to medical care, to ethnic organ donation system, and public awareness about this issue to prevent future cases like this. I know many families, including mine, who have 1 or 2 people who are struggling with, all these kidney issues and the likes and all of that. But eventually, because of this issue, everybody's speaking the lesson from it, and but it's our system, it's our medical system. Is it equipped enough? Is the question I'm putting out there for leaders to ponder on. If not, I don't think that the situation at hand would have occurred in the first place. But sir, let me come to you. What's your take on this story with the return of Mrs. Ekweremadu?
Well, thank you very much. Yes, this matter has been dispensed of by the courts in the UK. But if you look at it closely, the Nigerian legal system follows closely to the British model, the British legal system. So it won't equally be much different from what is obtainable in the Nigerian legal system. However, they are still seen as visitors in UK. They are not Nigerians, and nobody's even looking at them, whether they are first offenders or they are habitual offenders, or whether they are involved in organ trafficking, or whether they're in the excessive bid to have and compassionately to have their child rescued. They erred in law and therefore punished, which equally determine the level of sentence they will be given. So these are issues, and it is complex. Every one of us, most likely, if you are faced with such situation, will look for solution. Now, it is the way you approach the solution that matters. There's no parent that the child is passing through this process that will not look for a solution. But however, the system in itself, the systemic decay, is such that Nigeria, is not vast medically, where you can have a pool where there are donors, where you have a proper medical facility. People have to equally travel. If those things were possible here, probably one wouldn't be looking for another way of cutting the corner. They would have gone straight to the hospital, and then they check the real organ that will fit into their daughter. They wouldn't have committed this offense. So they are equally victims of the system. And if you consider to a very large extent that, Ekweredu is not just any other Nigerian, that in the course of his involvement in legislation, if he has used it to, improve the well-being of the citizens of this country, especially Medicare, if that he has the resources to even have a clinic where this could take place, he wouldn't have been a victim, of a system which he was part of the operators. So I needed to just stop here. It's sad, but it has happened, and we'll have to move on.
Again, for that, your own submission on the issue at hand. Let me quickly touch on the last trending, which is going to be the last trending story on the show today, which is Bishop Kenneth Duke, that bags 20 years rather in prison for defiling his church member's 12-year-old daughter in Abuja. Oh my God, sir, this is outright disgusting and shameful. How can someone who claims to be a man of God stoop so low as to destroy the innocence of a child? A old bishop, a so-called spiritual leader, abusing the trust placed in him, not just by the victim's family, but by an entire congregation. Honestly, sir, this Kenneth Duke is a disgrace not just to the church, but also to humanity itself. What kind of wickedness is this? How do you, a grown man, a father of 5 children, look at a 12-year-old child and commit such an evil act? Let's not even talk about this position as a pastor. This is a betrayal of everything decent and morals. It didn't just fall as a bishop. Fell as a bishop. It fell as a human being, as a father. And as somebody who is being trusted. Imagine the mother of that child thinking she's securing her daughter's future, only for the devil to turn his house into a hellhole. The worst part is that this is not even the first time we are hearing of so-called religious leaders taking advantage of vulnerable members of their congregation. So I'm asking in pain, how can anyone trust the church with their children again when predators like this are parading themselves as men of God? Let's not minimize words here. On this platform, that is why it's called Real Talk with Kike. I understood the vision when I created this platform. 20 years in prison is not enough, if you ask me. People like this deserve the maximum punishment allowed by law. In fact, it should serve as an example to all other wolves in sheep's clothing who think that they can hide behind religion to carry out their wickedness. Whether you are a pastor, whether you are a bishop, imam, or any other leader in the, the law is clear. Rape is rape. It's not an abomination. Justice must continue to prevail in cases like this. No matter the titles or the influence of the perpetrators, honestly, the church too needs to do better. I think that's another thing that I feel that I need to bring to fore. How many of these so-called bishops are properly vetted? What kind of oversight exists to ensure that the safety of vulnerable members of the congregation is being protected? We are talking about protecting the public interest, earlier in our conversation about 50% increase in tariff. But the main protection about human rights and life property is part of the biggest issue that I think that we should be debating. Because this incident is a stain on the church image. I think it's high time that religious organizations take a step to prevent predators like this Kenneth Cook from having access to power and influence. And I think that's for the victim. My heart goes out to the mother. My heart goes out to the family. What that child has gone through is unimaginable. And no punishment for this man will undo the traumas that she's suffering right now, or she has suffered. I hope she will get the support, the counseling, the mental support that she needs to heal from this horrific experience. At the end of the day, this Kenneth Duke has proven that he's not a man of God. He's just another predator hiding behind religion. Enough is enough with these so-called leaders bringing shame to the society and not just the church. I think, unfortunately, I wish I could get the thought of my guest. But sir, this is where I draw the curtains of the show. But I want to say many thanks to you, my resourceful guest, Comrade Joseph Ajero, for lending your voice on issues that affect us. I wish you the very best as you continue to navigate the society at large. And God's wisdom is one of the things that I wish you the most. I want to say, take care of yourself, and this is where I draw the curtains of the show. Till I come your way next, remember to be kind to one another and protect yourself and your family. Bye now.